Hi everyone, DZ Movies here. Today, I'm going to present a mystery sci-fi film called 2067. Please be aware, the video contains spoilers. The film begins with a post-apocalyptic view of the Earth where thousands of people die every day from oxygen starvation. The action of the film moves quickly to the last city on Earth where the power grid had not fallen at all, in a tunnel where Ethan and Jude are trying to stabilize a nuclear core that was ready to overload. The two manage to stabilize it and the city receives some of the necessary electricity. After that, the two finish their shift, and just before they leave, they offer to replace another team of workers tomorrow night. Visibly dissatisfied, one of the replaced workers stops Ethan from the road, but the dispute is interrupted by an outraged man who sets himself on fire in protest. After this incident, Ethan arrives home, where he is surprised by his wife. After a few seconds, Ethan tells him that he has a gift for her. She receives an oxygen mask. The next day, he has Ethan and Jude, who were working in the tunnel, in the foreground again, when two soldiers appear and approach Ethan, stating that they have the order to take Ethan upstairs, but Jude intervenes and stands between the soldier and Ethan, saying that if Ethan goes, he will accompany him. The two are being taken to the Applied Sciences Division of Crony Corp, which is responsible for developing and supplying breathable air from around the world. There they meet Regina Jackson, who tells them that things are worse than scientists have predicted, and that humanity is likely to be exterminated in a few years. However, is Ethan just curious about why he's there? And the Regina tells him that he is the only one who can save them. Ethan is immediately taken to a lab where he meets Billy Mitchell, who is working on something, and who refers to Ethan as the chosen one. The moment Regina asks Ethan if he knows what his father was doing at the company, Billy and Regina confess to them that in their attempts they managed to create a kind of time travel device, and that they received back a message of over 407 years, a message that is shown to them and in which it was written, "Send Ethan Whyte." They only have enough energy to send someone once, but the problem is that they don't have a solution yet to bring Ethan back, even if they manage to send him in the future to look for a cure. Afterwards, Ethan and Jude stop at a bar to discuss the subject. Ethan is visibly unhappy with the proposal. He doesn't want to leave his wife, let her die while he goes to save the world, interrupted by his friend who wakes him up to reality by telling him that he is not going to save the world, he is going on this impossible mission to save it. Then the scene moves to Ethan's 8th birthday when he sees his father for the last time, when he gives him a device that is still attached to Ethan's arm. That evening, Ethan has a final discussion with his wife about this mission that he does not want to take part in, but in the end he will do it to save her. The next day Ethan returns to the company, from where he will be transported in the future, but as scientists have no way to link the journey to a stable point in the future, it will be thrown, and how it can be thrown in the middle of the ocean or a mountain, he will be teleported somewhere higher, which is why he receives a special suit. The countdown has begun, and Ethan's mission is clear. He needs to find a cure, and a way to return. Ethan's teleportation succeeds in the future, as he lands in a forest. Only when his suit lands he catches fire, and he recovers in time to take it out before it explodes. Ethan looks around, amazed by the vast forest that surrounds him with a multitude of oxygen-emitting plants and trees. Then he returns to his landing site, where he manages to retrieve Archie, the artificial intelligence that was entrusted to him to assist him. Archie scans the area, and finds a nearby structure. Ethan follows his directions to a gate, only to find a skeleton in front of the gate. And on closer inspection he sees the name of the skeleton on the badge. On it was written Ethan Whyte, which visibly disturbed him. After recovering from the shock, Ethan grabs the device from the skeleton's hand, the one he received from his father, and as he fails to open the gate, he grabs the old Archie, trying to find out what happened to the other Ethan. Old Archie plays the last recording just before it is completely downloaded, and here's how old Ethan was shot. Using some threads from the suit's helmet wrapped around his Archie, he manages to catch a signal, and swings at him. The night comes, and Ethan has no idea how to make a campfire. Good luck with Archie, who gives him the necessary instructions to do this, and after several failed attempts Ethan manages to make the fire. Scanning the sky, Archie mentions that it was in 2474 AD. Ethan eats something poisonous and starts hallucinating, and when his heart was about to die, stopping, a character appears from the jungle and saves him. The next day when he wakes up, he sees his friend Jude, who says that he was following him. When he saw that he was in danger, he immediately teleported to save him. After some discussion, Ethan takes Jude to the place where he found the skeleton. Jude is convinced that this is not Ethan and that he should continue his mission. The two follow Archie's signal to a bunker. Ethan approaches the gate, a robot scans Ethan and then opens the door. The place has been abandoned for years, but a console glows in the dark, waiting for Ethan. After scanning his DNA, he turns on the lights, and in front of the two appears a teleportation machine like the one with which they were brought here and a 4-hour timer. However, after listening to the first record in the database, in which his father explains the importance of the project and the first attempt to communicate with the future, and the surprise of all when the message received from the future asks Ethan to come personally in 2474. An alarm starts due to a malfunction, and the two are informed that if the portal is not supplied with the necessary energy until the countdown reaches 0, the consequence will be a nuclear explosion. Jude grabs a toolkit and tries to persuade Ethan to hurry up and go fix the problem, but Ethan hesitates to ask more and more questions. In the end, Jude manages to convince him, and the two go to the city area back to the old tunnels to try to avoid nuclear destruction. It's just that when they get to the city, they find nothing but a jungle that had covered the ruins of their former city. And after all the skeletons on the streets and in the rubble, Ethan concludes that humans failed to find a cure in time. The planet waited for them to die and then healed itself in time. On their way to the tunnels, Ethan makes a detour to the school where his wife teaches, but unfortunately he finds her skeleton. Ethan's pain at this moment brings back memories of the moment his mother was killed. Jude manages to wake him from the shock, but as Jude speaks, Ethan is petrified by a sentence he says, a sentence he had heard on old Archie's last recording, which makes Jude listen to her. Looks like Jude was the one who killed old Ethan when Jude hears the recording pull out a gun and threatens Ethan. He is now forcibly taking him to the tunnels for repairs. The two end up in a room, but their efforts to restart the system in optimal remote settings fail, and when the room door closes automatically to remove oxygen from the room to avoid an imminent explosion, Jude grabs a metal bar and stops the door, so that Ethan has time to go out. But as there was a lever in the room that had to be pulled to manually restart the system, he succeeds, the nuclear nucleus is activated, and Ethan almost faints due to lack of oxygen is saved by Jude, who breaks the glass with a metal bar, allowing the chamber to re-oxygenate. They succeeded, the systems were restored and they work at normal parameters, but they only have 37 minutes until the portal will reactivate. Ethan finds a door in the portal room, wondering where it leads, and when he opens it, he sees that it leads only to the skeleton of old Ethan. Then his paranoia grows again, and he accuses Jude that as soon as they return, he will shoot him. Jude asks him to trust him, he has a plan to solve everything. Jude insists that there is no cure and no way to save them all, but I can live here. But as Ethan does not conceive of this and does not agree to let his wife die, he locks Jude in a camera, and continues to watch his father's latest recording. Here he observes how the Queen had other plans, after determining that the planet can be inhabited again in the future, to find a way to jump there, knowing that a cure is no longer a variant anyway, the population must die and wait for the Earth to heal. He only needed one person to start the system in the future, and since Ethan's father had tied his DNA to the machine, he became the only one who could do it. Then he sees how the Queen shoots his father. Ethan feels betrayed. Jude escapes from the room where he was being held, and when Ethan tries to stop the machine, history resumes its course. Jude attacks him and is ready to shoot Ethan. It's just that things take a turn for the worse when Jude decides to save his friend and shoots himself in the head. Meanwhile, the Queen and others are waiting for the long-awaited moment at the company's headquarters, ready to leave the present for a better future, but the plan is turned upside down by Ethan, who interrupts the connection of the portal, but not before sending some plants from the future, so that the world can begin a regeneration and have a second chance at life. Ethan's wife receives a gift, a box containing a flower, which is sent through the portal by Ethan to her. Instead, Ethan stays in the future, buries his friend, and then runs to the front door to see if his skeleton is still there. And since he was no longer there, Ethan deduces that the future has been changed, and he wants to convince himself of this. The film ends with Ethan fleeing to the city where there were only ruins, and instead finds an evolved city sign that indicates that he succeeded in the impossible. He saved the world. Subscribe to this channel if you want more videos like this. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to turn on notification to help this channel.